Hi internet people. So for this Stitchers recap, I am actually talking about 2 episodes. I've had to do that a lot. This past week and this week I was out of town, so I missed Stitchers last week, but I am completely caught up. In the first episode, the Gremlin and the Fixer, a poor Gremlin is dead! Like, that made me feel so, like, it was a super sad anyway. But okay, a Gremlin is someone who is hired by a company to sort of mess around with all of the tech so that a fixer comes in and has to learn how to solve various problems. So the Gremlin at this company that works on like satellites, and they're working on like a Mars rover situation, has been killed. And so they stitch in. Turns out he's also like a competitive video gamer, so that leads them into this video game fight club situation. But while this is going on, there's also a ton of relationship drama still happening. Linus and Ivy are having problems. Camille and Amanda aren't really speaking, and Kirsten and Cameron are not okay. So there's that tension going on. As the case progresses, Cameron winds up involved in the underground fight club, where he's like video gaming because he was a competitive gamer. Linus is trying to connect with Ivy. They do actually work that out, but Maggie and Fisher confront her about her communicating with her father because they know what's happened. So that's happening, which means that relationship is in like trouble. I don't know. There's a lot of just like not okay stuff happening on Ivy's end with her dad, even though she really likes Linus. Then Cameron insists that Zelda, this girl at the video game fight club, couldn't have killed their dead guy. But then while they're going through all of this, they actually learn that the Gremlin and the Fixer were a couple. And the Fixer knew about the secret room that the Gremlin had. They have names, I'm sorry, but I really like calling them the Gremlin and the Fixer. And in this secret room they learn that he's actually the one who's developed this like underground video game that no one knew who the designer was, apparently. And then people were like playing for money, like it's very intensive. And they think that the reason the satellite, because the satellite has been repositioned and they don't know why, the satellite has been repositioned to face this like warehouse where the fights go on. So it's not offline, it's just facing the wrong direction. Then at one point Amanda comes in, because Camille and Linus are really tense for a while, talking about their relationships. Amanda comes in and does some fancy analysis of the sand, because it's like a faux Mars environment that they find the Gremlin on. And they learn that it's like a code thing, like a pattern. So that pattern winds up being connected to the video game, because it turns out that if you beat the entire game, when you get to the end, a passcode pad pops up and then you put in the code and it reveals a secret message from the dearly departed, who says that if you're watching this, I'm gone, and Vic, I think his name was Vic, the head of the underground fight club, has had me killed. Like, he killed me because he was like doing all this stuff to make money and using my game and like wouldn't let me not compete and all this stuff. And you're like, oh, that's awful. Everyone is still very tense after this. The relationships aren't really fixed. There is a super funny part where a guy named DK throws like a keg / barrel at the bad guy when he has a gun. And I was like, does DK stand for Donkey Kong? Because that's funny if it is, because he threw a barrel and he's wearing a tie. Anyway, so that episode was more like dealing with some relationship stuff, but nothing is really fixed. Camille and Amanda still aren't doing okay, and in the next episode it actually focuses only on Cameron and Kirsten. It's called The Two of Us, and in this episode Kirsten wakes up in the Stitch tank and none of the monitors are on, no one is there. She finds Cameron, Cameron's unconscious, the two of them are trying to figure out what's going on. And while they're trying to figure out what's going on, they're sort of trying to work through their relationship, but Cameron also like knows stuff he shouldn't know, like how she broke her toe when she was a little kid. He also like shares a story with her that she says seems kind of off, and like his behavior's a little off. So while they're going through this, they're like trying to figure stuff out because they don't know what stitch they're involved in. The computer, when Cameron checks it, lists the previous stitch, so they don't know who erased the stitch, they don't know what's going on, they can't find anybody. Kirsten keeps touching this specific coffee mug because it keeps popping up and it's always really, really hot. So she keeps like mentioning like it's hot, like she doesn't get it. Then like they have dinner, but like time is not progressing normally, so they're really off. They keep finding like puzzle stuff. So they find keys in the coffee mug, and the keys lead them to a garage with a vintage car in it. And there's Rubik's Cube in the vintage car, and then they almost like die in the vintage car thing, but they get out. They also find a puzzle piece at one point in Cameron's locker, and they like complete the puzzle, which is what sends them to the garage. But then they've seen some stuff in the monitors, and what's interesting is earlier on, Kristen points out that the faces she saw in the monitors are actually the faces that are used in these autism flashcards. She mentions that she used them when she had temporal dysplasia. They're supposed to show you what emotions look like so you can better understand them if you have difficulty interpreting emotions. So she recognizes them, and then during all that, they wind up having her get in the Stitch tank with the puzzle. It's all connected. I told those slightly out of order, but it's okay. Just know, puzzle, keys, led to car, they almost died in the car, they come back, they still don't know where anyone is, they can't quite figure out what's going on. Cameron is getting very irritated with Kirsten, and he wants to work on stuff alone, and she's like, oh, okay. So she winds up checking the computer and learning that they are actually working on a new Stitch. There was a Stitch in the system for a guy named Todd, yes. And so Cameron, when she confronts him about it and like tells him, she winds up revealing that, no, you're not real, like you're like a thing, I'm projecting you, you're not real. And he's like, no, what? And he winds up getting a gun, and you're like, what? And he says, shoot me. If you don't think I'm real, then shoot me. And she doesn't want to shoot him, winds up shooting him. He dies, but then, like, disappears. Like, he's not actually dead. And so Kirsten's gonna bounce because she's figured out that she's caught in a Stitch. Turns out that Todd, the person that she's stitched into, has autism, and he's also an empath. So the issue is that she doesn't quite understand how his brain functions, in comparison to her brain. So she's trying to figure it out, but she's really confused. So she's gonna bounce out because she doesn't know what to do. Then a ton of her previous Stitches start appearing, and her actual dad shows up, and he says, not her actual dad, not dad. Anyway, not dad. Whatever. Pretend I didn't say dad. I don't know where that came from. But they wind up telling her that she needs to, stitch in. Actually, yeah, isn't it her dad? Yeah, her, like, the guy she thought she was dead. Never mind. Don't listen to me. I'm babbling through some nonsense I should have Googled before this video. But she winds up figuring out that there's something with the monitors, and they're like a puzzle. So she's trying to put them together and figure out what's going on. She's making notes. She's trying to, like, figure it out. She's like, oh, it's a face. She finally figures out that it's a face, and then she recognizes the face, and when she stitches out, she's worried that everyone will be, like, super concerned because she's been gone for days, like, in this Stitch. It's felt like days. Time has passed so frequently. When she gets out of the Stitch, she says, oh, well, no, it's the boyfriend. There was this story, and I figured out that the stuff that didn't fit was actually Todd, and I was, like, connecting to him, in, like, a fake Cameron, and that's his dad, or his mom's boyfriend. And then she explains, like, a horrible story about how the mom's boyfriend put him in the vintage car and, like, started the engine. It gave him a Rubik's Cube that couldn't be solved, so that he would be distracted by the Rubik's Cube and wouldn't try and get out of the garage even though he was being poisoned. And then he also locked the door, so there's no way for him to get out. So they're going to arrest the boyfriend for doing this because the boyfriend thought he was freeing his mother from having to take care of him, which is awful. Like, it was so awful. And somehow, I mean, through all of that, because Cameron was like ghost Cameron, Kristen has, like, worked through their problems, so they're okay now. It was a really interesting episode. There were some interesting filming elements. Stuff was filmed on a slant at certain points. There was a lot of puzzle work. And it was just a really interesting take on looking into someone's memories in a way that we haven't looked at them before. So I really thought that was interesting. What's crazy, though, is I swear there are only 2 episodes left now, because I was checking IMDb, and this was episode 7, which means there's only episodes 8 and 9 listed that exist, which is weird because there's normally 10 episodes. So I don't know if episode 9 is secretly, like, a 2-parter, and IMDb doesn't know that yet, so it hasn't separated them out, because that's happened before. But next week's episode is about aliens, and I'm very excited for aliens. I think it'll be really cool. I'm also hoping that they bring Amanda back in, and maybe Amanda and Camille will work through some stuff, because Linus and Ivy have sort of worked through it, but they're still working, and, like, Cameron and Kristen are back together, so, like, that's fixed. But I don't know, the season feels like it went by really fast, even though I had so many weird tech issues with this season. But yeah, I don't know, this was a really cool episode. I really liked this, like, new take. I feel like this season has been very experimental, so they've done a lot of interesting stuff, and, like, new stuff, and, like, tried out some stuff. So I've just really been enjoying, like, conceptual brain stuff that's been going on. But anyway, that is it. I'm really hoping all the other relationships get tied up at the end. Like, I'm hoping they get together. I don't know. I've also noticed that Alison Scagliotti hasn't done like any press stuff with them, and she hasn't done any live tweets, so I don't know what is going on with Camille's character. Like, I don't know if she's just really busy or if she's, I don't know. I really don't know. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below or on Twitter. I'm at Clef Notes. You can find me on my blog, clefnotes.wordpress.com, or The Nerdy Girl Express, thenerdygirlexpress.com, and or on their Snapchat, The Nerdy Girl EXP. Bye, Internet people.